episode 33 of the People's Champ podcast. This week, we have none other than long forgotten, I don't know what the word is, long returning, maybe? Kremepuff, how you doing?
What's up, man? Thanks for the welcome. I forgot about myself though. Just started playing ladder maybe about a week and a half ago, like towards maybe two and a half weeks ago, towards the end of
Nice.
last season. So I've had a quick crash course on the last like 3 expansions, getting set for the one that just released. I actually think it's pretty fun. I'm not as jaded as I'm sure some people are, or I used to be, but for now, I'm enjoying ladder quite a bit.
He's coming out of retirement to take the leaderboard by storm.
Yeah, I've been playing on NA. I'm grinding on EU at the moment. I had like no star bonuses on NA. I was talking before the pod. I didn't really try to research any of the expansions going into it. I just had like some standard Raza lists or Reno lists that are in there. Got on ladder for a bit. Saw so many rogues. I was like, why is there so many freaking aggro rogues on ladder? Saw some druids. Realized Guff's really good. And I eventually settled on like a quest mage list because I enjoyed playing that list quite a bit beforehand, like Flame Waker style type quest mage lists. And I did like some of the tools they had, so I ended up making the latest one with all the Naga packages and whatnot. No win streak bonuses, so it took me a long time. But it's funny. I was talking like I didn't know what dredge meant until like Diamond 4. So like I was just figuring out as I go, and now I'm basically caught up even with all the new expansion and whatnot. And I think currently I'm like 32 legend on NA ladder and like Diamond 8 or something like that on EU. Playing mostly like OTK Freeze Mage. That's like my favorite list at the moment. I think that's like the most solid list. Prince stuff is kind of bait, but like I don't know. I'm still trying to get used to things on ladder, and we can dive into it more in a bit. Overall, I think there's some good tools. I'm using a lot of the new cards. There's some people that don't give a crap like always at the beginning of the season, just play their Pyro Rogues and their standard decks. But I think there's a lot of good tools that actually make some decks better. So
Well said. So we'll go ahead and get into it. We'll go ahead and listen to the trivia that Peach prepared for us.
Greetings, everyone. The trivia question for this episode is: how many collectible Hearthstone cards have been printed throughout the history of Hearthstone?
How many collectible cards have been printed?
collectible cards. I mean, I'm gonna guess like I said like 1750, but maybe
Oh, you're
right.
guessing first?
Yeah, why not?
Yes.
Let's
Oh,
do it.
well, if you go last, you can, it's like Price is Right, so you can like game your best odds or whatever.
Gamify it. Yeah, I'm just gonna go for it.
Sure.
He nailed it. 100%.
No, I don't think
I
so.
think that's less than half the total number of cards.
Collectible cards though, right?
Yeah.
Like ones you
But
like not even just like given to you or like classic stuff.
I think Classic is collectible because you don't own them all by default.
Well, yeah, I guess not classic.
This doesn't count
whatever.
core set and like all the other modes.
Like
Or,
basic.
yeah, it doesn't count basic.
All right, Jordan, you're second.
Oh, I'm second?
You are.
Oh Jesus, yeah, it's probably way
So I
more
think
than
it's
mine,
there's 135 per expansion. There's 8 years of Hearthstone, 3 a year, so 24 times 135. Plus you have to add like 35 for an adventure, and there's like 5 of those. So it's like somewhere in the 3,500 plus ballpark. Maybe like 300 for classic. And not everything has changed, right? So some only at 129, some only at 130, some at 135, some at 136. Some expansions you got Cocoon for free, some you didn't. I'm just gonna go with a round number and say 3,500.
All right. Well, you're picking 3,500.
So this is without going over, right?
It is without going over. So I have to decide if I think it's less than Kremepuff, between Kremepuff and Jordan, or above Jordan. I think it's probably above Jordan. So I'll do 3,501. Let's see what the answer is.
The answer is 3,874 collectible cards with 1,065 standard
Yeah.
cards and
Makes sense.
2,809
I had
wild
3690 in my calculator, but an extra couple hundred makes sense.
All right. So I won.
Yeah, see, Price is right to me good there. That's kind of rude.
Me and Jordan are tied now on the guests have won. All right. Well, that's trivia.
Sweet.
So we were talking about it a little bit, but obviously the new expansion is out, Murder at Castle Nathria. Yeah, so Kremepuff, you want to talk about a little bit, like you've talked a little bit about like what your experience was going into it, but
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't hit legend like first day. I kind of wanted to wait until the expansion came out, and I mean, you saw a lot of the same stuff. I think everybody was gravitating towards like Secret Mage initially because that was probably one of the most hyped decks prior to the expansion coming out. I think what's his name, Soda, posted something about like a Renathal like Secret Mage, and then people started gravitating towards that. So like usually what I do on day ones of expansions, I won't play like meta decks, but I'll play like a deck that I anticipate would be the exact counter of what everybody crops to, whether it's like core bet putting putting a less stout, or Soda putting out a less stout, or any of the higher legend, look at me, rank 1 legend with this cool new deck. So I just played like a Shutterwalk Shaman that had like all the secret tech like that was in it. So like I played like Eater, I played like with a 4/6 Eater guy, like whatever, and all the aggro. Like I don't run Mutinous in any of my shaman decks at all. So I like to guarantee to draw my Flurgle Toxfin. And I run double ice fishing too, because I want to make that's like the best card in the whole deck against aggro. So it was a pretty easy climb to legend that first day doing that, because a lot of people were gravitating towards it. Some people were playing like the new Rogue OTK list, the combo Miracle Rogue list. I mean, some were doing it with like a pillager packages. Some people were doing it with like the Sonya, that new legendary card. I forget the name of it, where you equip a weapon based on how many like cards you played in a turn. So you can have like a 23 attack weapon or 27 attack weapon, depending on what you do. Like some people would just like get the null out for cheap, trade it into something with the Sonya, and just keep killing things off over and over again to like make a gigantic like weapon and kill you off that way. And then people started learning that you don't need to play anything on the board against a deck like that, because then they can't like combo off by killing off their own stuff. So you can just kind of wait till you have your pieces and then deal with the rogue that way, or use your disruption that way. So the rogue one wasn't as popular. You saw a lot of imp lock on ladder. Everybody was excited about that new tome card. Essentially discards your hand or shuffles a bunch of 1-mana copies of cards in your hand and then discards the rest. That deck seemed pretty okay. If you had any like board removal though, you were pretty fine against that deck. Even Shaman seemed pretty decent too. I ran into Corvette a few times on ladder playing that. It seemed okay, but like even Shaman it doesn't have a lot of refill, and if you can handle early board, they're just kind of done though. It doesn't matter how awesome their board looks initially, or how big of a gigantic totem, or what gigantic totems they can copy off their weapon. It's pretty easy deck to counter. But it seems like, in terms of what seems good or what's going to stay good, obviously like things like Pirate Rogue are gonna still be good. I think any kind of druid list is going to be decent. They did get some new tools. In fact, I think Corbett posted like a deck like yesterday where he got rank 1 legend with, which is Arena Thal druid list. It doesn't run Celestial in it.
No. Yeah, the non-alignment druids are all just like Renethal dragon stuff now going forward.
Yeah. So you're just ramping and doing.
Renethal is absurd. Not Renethal, Dire. Sir Dire is absurd and wild druid, because you have Flipper, Floop, and the 2/1s and the 1/1s and stuff.
Yeah, and he's running like Bran in it too, and you can do a bunch of goofy stuff with that. So you have the dragon package to like do a bunch of multiple 8 damages to the face. So you can do the Sire, like you said, in the Floop and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, it's essentially just like ramp up with Guff and Twig Sphere and like just play really, really good cards. Like just an absurd concentrated power level with little combos here and there. And your extra 10 cards are tech.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he's like, he has a lot of like good early game removal stuff, which is what like Druid tends to struggle with. You can use like some of your damage you'd use to face, like that new card that do 2 damage, summon a 2/2 treant. Could be good against just like board-based decks and just stalling a little bit. Like, it's a decent list. I think that new legendary you were just talking about, Sire,
Nathria.
Yeah, that card's really good.
Might get nerfed, but it might not. It depends if Druid. They're gonna nerf Druid in Standard. It depends how they nerf.
I love him in Shaman. I think he's really fun in Shaman too.
I do think in Shadowrock Shaman he makes the deck seem more fun to play, as opposed
like
to just a pile of inner disruption.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like the list I posted that I've been playing the most of this expansion, it's my favorite list. Like I'm running Kael'thas. I'm running Sire. You could do like crazy stuff with like Kael'thas into Bran, into Sire, into Innervate your Macaw, and just do like a crap ton of damage that way. Just having the ability of having Macaw.
Yeah, Macaw copying the full damage is silly.
Yeah, Macaw does the damage. Shudder will do the damage too. So that's why like you run like Bran and Bolnar too. So you have like double ways of doing double battle cries with it. I don't really like Renathal packages in Shutterwalk. I just like it to be clean and straightforward. Like,
it clutters your deck too much.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're running the 40 best cards instead of the 30 best cards. I think like I like running double ice fishing and just Flurgle Toxfin combos. So like my whole mulligan strategy is usually just draw Primal Fin Dungeoneer or ice fishing, just because you draw a bunch and you get your board clear early on, thin your deck out. And then you can just kind of go from there. Like, you have plenty of stall with Sleep Breaker and Snowfall Guardian, obviously, with the freeze package. And then you can just set up later. Like, you might get, Kael'thas off of Geppetto, and you can do crazy stuff later on. You play Kael'thas on curve against aggro behind a taunt, and then you just kind of end the game the following turn. You have plenty of disruption with like Theotar, that new legendary they have. That's like one of my favorite disruption cards of the set.
You play that in your Shaman?
Oh yeah. I don't go infinite.
I guess.
I don't go infinite.
Sure.
Yeah, you don't go infinite in the Shudder. I don't even run Chain Gang in it.
Gotcha. Because you've started Nathrius now?
Yeah, because you're kind
Hmm.
of just like Shutterwalk's just another way, another value card in the deck. Like
How do
you're
you win
doing
the
mostly.
mirror? What if they just like don't kill your stuff and just freeze your board? You just lose.
I mean, you could do stuff with Theatar too. You can, I mean, you still have Double Dirty Rat, you still have Theatar, you still have Blade Master Akani. Like you could stall things out. You might be able to steal a win condition. You could still do some OTK stuff, like I mentioned earlier, depending on if they're clearing your board. Because that's a thing about Shaman too. Like a lot of the times you're trying desperately to clear their board because you don't want them to grumble back value. And so as they're clearing your board too, you are building up your sire as well, and then you can set up a kill later on. Obviously, like there's some matchups where you kind of wish you had chain gang or something to go infinite with, but and you could easily do that with this list too if you wanted to, like just cut like one of your lightning blooms for like a chain gang or like a maybe a sleep breaker if you're gonna go infinite anyway. You don't want as much
And chills, yeah.
yeah, so like there's ways to make it better against, super late game, but for the most part, I just want an ability to OTK with some disruption in it. And so that's the list I'm playing right now. Like I said, no mutinous, double ice fishing. It's on my Twitter too if you want to check it out. But that's my favorite one. I have played some Quest Mage as well. Quest Mage and some Secret Mage. I'm using like the Kael'thas package. Not the Kael'thas package, sorry. The Kel'Thuzad package. Just experimenting with it. It's interesting. I won some games at High Legend. They're good against board-based decks, surprisingly.
They farm even shaman.
Oh yeah, definitely farms even shaman.
Everything farms even shaman.
Yeah.
That deck will literally never be good. Impossible for it to be good because it loses to Defile, which already exists.
Right,
There's
right.
nothing it can
What
get.
I got up. That's what I got up to Diamond 5 with was even shaman.
Yeah, I don't know. Even Shaman will always struggle with like refill too. But like there's like a Quest Mage Kel'Thuzad package which is interesting too. Obviously you kind of have to go the Archmage Vargoth route because their best spell in the Kel'Thuzad package is their 6 mana clear. Can't really do that with like a parrot package, but you can do some silly things where you like Archmage Vargoth brand into Kel'Thuzad, blow a bunch of stuff up. What's cool about like the little skeletons is like they're really good against not only fighting for board but doing like incremental damage or like removing some like weak boards with like the random 2 damage. The best route is probably just doing like a secret package and then adding the Kel'Thuzad package with it to have some late game with it too. Again, it's all probably making good decks worse,
Right.
but you're just testing some of the
Yeah.
cards out. But yeah, I don't know. I think at the end of the day, it's the meta is probably just going to settle to being like a lot of druid, a lot of rogue. I'm not really sold on like imp block.
It blocks, yeah,
A lot
not
and a
great.
lot of big priest.
Big
Oh
Priest
yeah,
is fine. Yeah.
big priest will always
It's just
be there.
everywhere.
Got a new
Yeah.
card. Makes it slightly
It did.
better on paper.
What did big priest get?
You got a 1 mana spell that deals damage to a minion equal to its attack.
I
It's just like
literally
really
n-
efficient removal.
Literally no one has played it against me. And I played
Wow.
plenty of big priest.
Sure.
That card is good though.
I think you absolutely run it in Big Priest. The people you're playing against probably haven't updated their list because they're wild 10x players. Eventually it'll trickle down.
Yeah.
So for me, I saw the tome tampering and I was like, that goes in Obelot. That's how I started. I did some desert obelisk stuff, which is fun. Did that for a few games, got a couple wins with it, enough to post it to YouTube as bait, and then moved on. I was like, oh, tome tampering is actually pretty good. I'm going to try Starliner Warlock. That was predictably very bad.
Good lord, man.
1 mana Starliners.
Yeah, and then from there I went to even shaman. I got all the way to D5 with that. Got stuck there for a bit, so I did Inner Fire Priest, did Holy Wrath Paladin, eventually landed on Secret Mage and went D5 to Legend with that, and then last night I was jamming some Enrage Warrior because it looks pretty fun. Played some duels too. The duels meta seems really fun right now. Been enjoying that. I was playing like pure Totem Shaman in duels. Very, very fun because like you get to play like the stupid 3-mana 04 and like do Ancient Reflections on it, so you have a board full of Totem buffer guys. Very, very good. Been having fun with that. So I haven't played too much with the locations because like the shaman location isn't really good in even shaman, and the mage location and the version of Secret Mage I was playing wasn't super good, so I didn't play a lot of them. I played the priest one and Inner Fire Priest, and I played the warrior one last night. Really cool design, honestly. I'm glad they have it. And I hope that it's not a one-time thing,
Yeah, I love the mage location. I think that's probably it's probably one of my favorite ones. Just because like I was literally running like a quest mage list and just having that extra stall. I was running like arena file quest mage list with like Varden, Dawn Grasp, and stuff like that. Just like a lot of stall. I think I had one solid alibi in there too. So like against like aggro with some of the removal packages, the new Frozen Touch, like ways of just kind of dealing with board and stalling. Their location's really nice, just being able to do stuff with that. Because you have your Ray of Frost. I mean, you got
Yeah.
Ray of
Yeah.
Frost. Yeah, Ray of Frost. You have the Nightcloak Sanctum, and then you have Varden to just kind of stall things out and combo with them too. I think that's one of my favorite locations. I think Priest is always going to be like kind of an auto include in any really priest list, whether it's an Inner Fire Priest or just like a Raza priest list. Or
They need card draw so desperately.
yeah, it's just like nice card draw. Like you have
Yeah.
anything on board, like yeah, cool. The buff is nice for trades too, but just being able to have that extra card draw is really nice. What other? I mean, the Rogue quest is pretty sick too, because it's like a secondary win condition just by building up a bunch of like stealth
Yeah.
big boys.
Rogues is sweet.
Yeah, Rogue is sweet.
I was looking at my class ones the other day, and Shaman like passed Rogue. Like Shaman for the longest time, I had like 200 wins with Shaman, and then I like really liked Big Hand Shaman last expansion, and like even Shaman the expansion before that. So I've surpassed Rogue. Rogue just doesn't interest me as much. It's like it does cool stuff, but it's like very tempo and not value, and that's just the play style. You die too quick to do like the cool flashy stuff sometimes.
Yeah, I mean they have like that new spell that they have. What is that? Bone something?
Created Bone Spike.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a good rogue card, yeah.
Yeah, that helps against aggro too, and helps combo off a little bit sooner. I don't know. I think it's a cool deck. I haven't experimented too much with Rogue, but I'm confident it's gonna stay good.
Rogue's
Yeah,
actually the only class I've played so far this expansion.
Oh, cool. Which list have you played?
I started with Miracle Rogue, which is the location and the weapon and Edwin and just playing a bunch of cards, which is fine and good, right? Nothing wrong with that deck. Except for the fact that like it's bad, but it's fun. It was a lot of fun. Then I switched to
Yeah.
Pillager Rogue, which is just stupid and silly as ever because it got new cards that are good. It runs prep
Yeah.
now, and prep plus serrated bone spike lets you prep out a minion, which in Pillager Rogue is particularly disgusting.
Sure.
So that's quite good. And then that's as far as I've gotten. I've literally only played 2 Rogue decks, but I would not be surprised if Rogue was just like not the Giganuts. It certainly seems like the Giganuts, whether it be Pirate Rogue or Pillager Rogue. It's just kind of gross. That and I think Druid and Mage and Shaman are the top 4. A lot of people are upset that like not a lot seems to have changed. Kind of a bummer. I don't know that I can
know.
blame them.
How hard?
that
I mean,
feeling.
isn't that just sort of like the nature of WoW? Like you'd have to have the
Yeah.
most disgusting expansion of all time to like really change the meta.
Wow,
Like
you didn't play
Dragon
during
Stormwind.
Stormwind.
Yeah.
What was Stormwind?
Stormwind
Demon
was the
Seed.
quest lines. It was a couple TRS decks were created out of thin air, and it was pretty gross.
I did get a little bit of some of that. You're talking about
Yeah.
like the Warlock one, right? Demon
Yeah,
Seed?
Warlock
Yeah.
and Pirate Warrior had the quest line, and
And Hunter
Hunter had the quest line. All these things have been nerfed since.
Actually, I think that's when I quit.
I-
Like was
I
actually
do.
somewhere around that
Yeah.
time.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised if that made you leave. It was pretty silly.
It was just boring. I just remember it's just like the games were very linear. It's just like okay.
Well, because they're quest
Yeah, it is.
lines, right? Like you always play the quest, you always go for the reward every game, right?
Yeah,
It like teaches you how to play, basically. At least with Pirate Warrior, it was literally training wheels.
Like play pirates, draw your weapon, deal some damage, and win.
The only
Yeah.
the only deck where that wasn't the case, basically, Warlock. But even then, it was just finding the optimal way to play the same way every time. It was more decisions and then less, as was all less linear. You had a lot of cheap cards to play.
So you think with like Rogue, they're probably Necrolord is probably just kind of the flavor of the week, and it's just going to be more pillager. Like people aren't going to be caring that much about the dagger. You think?
I don't think the 4-mana weapon card Edwin type decks are going to be very good. But if they are, it'll be like a Renathal Reno list with your 40 cards, and you just have high quality of cards. I don't think the only merit to the Miracle Rogue deck is their ability to play a 16/16 on like turn 1 or 2, or Sonya Null stuff. But as we've learned, as soon as the degenerate combo decks come back, no one's going to play minions, so they're just useless.
Right.
And so like my thing is with Rogue, it feels a lot like Seth of old. Like, do you have the nuts on turn 1 or 2? If not, you lose.
Maybe,
You know,
with
like-
Miracle Rogue.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you need tech cards. You need like your Lotheb to work.
Right.
It's a fine. I think it's definitely has the disadvantage of like having to be refined. Whereas like Villager Rogue, you just chuck in the 2 new cards and a prep because prep's down, and you just call it a day. So they may find something, but it definitely seems like current expansion has basically only given Druid a couple cards, Villager Rogue a couple cards, Hunter some cards. Like there's not a lot. Quest Mage, I don't think is any new card.
Copper Hunter got some new toys.
Yeah,
and so
Beast
did-
Hunter can run
and-
some stuff, but I
and-
don't know that it's optimal.
And Secret Mage got a ton of
Secret
toys.
Mage went from tier 7 to tier 6. I mean, it's still unplayable in terms of trying to be competitive, but
Says the man who hasn't played any of it.
well, I've also not played against any of it because people don't win games.
I went
Um,
25 and 10.
yeah, I mean, you can do that with any deck, but actually doing it
There's
consistently at high ranks, no one will play.
the other deck that like I've seen some of, which is like the shadow like thief priest.
Mm,
That's
Yeah.
probably I've played a lot of that deck early on, and I've faced a lot of it. It's fine. It just feels like it feels like a Raza priest list with just like more janky cards. Like the idea of getting Harvester value is like really hard. Like you have some games where like Harvester of Envy, that new legendary 3 mana card, will play any card you've copied from your opponent's deck, you steal their original. A lot of people are playing Renathal lists, so you're not really drawing that card very often. I think shadow lists make sense because all the good spells are shadow spells, and you can force yourself not to play certain cards because you're trying to fit good cards anyway.
it's actually a really good point, though. Renathal is technically this expansion, so like technically it's made a huge impact. It's just it was all felt before the expansion actually came out.
Right, right.
It's like Kel'Thas was pre Ashes
Yeah, although
or Vargoth.
yeah, similarly, right. I mean, it's the same release cycle. People often overlook Renathal when they talk about this expansion, but that is in fact this expansion, and I see that a
Right.
lot.
I mean, I didn't play a whole lot last few expansions, but I mean, like, is the reason why Raza Priest hasn't been good is because Druid's been good?
Raza
Is
Priest
that
hasn't been good because it's just extremely slow.
Yeah. Raza Priest started really falling off during the
Stormwind
quest
killed it
line.
because
Yeah,
everything was
because
so fast.
yeah, and the
Yeah.
things like Raza Priest couldn't even beat Pirate Warrior anymore because Pirate Warrior just got through their quest and played infinite value generator. So like even if you could remove every board they created, you didn't outvalue them, which is crazy. That's when it really started like falling off.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So basically, you either need to like
you need
you need
disruption to
a
stall the game out, is what they need.
mm,
And I think they're getting that with the Renathal decks now because you can do some really powerful things with stealing and the Shadow Priest hero power and stuff. It's kind of fun.
yeah. I mean, you got the new you got Theatar now, which is a new stall
Mhm.
card. I don't know. I just feel like if you're gonna do a lot of disruption stuff, like the way to go is just Shaman, right?
Right. Yeah. I think I do worry that like the Reno Shadow Priest extra large stuff that people are having fun with is going to fall off once people start playing more refined, more quick combo lists. Like they might just farm the like other flavors of the week, right? Where it's like all their Renathal deck. But
Like,
we'll have to
does
see.
does Priest have a shot in heck against Druid though?
Yeah, because you can. Well, it depends what druid, I guess. But you can
Yeah.
beat the
Celestial
non-alignment
alignment,
druids because you can just like
yeah.
steal their cards and like do equally powerful things late game.
Yeah.
Celestial alignment
But
druid though
alignment
does
druid, I
quite
don't
well.
understand. I'm not sure how you'd beat. It would have to be something with a Lucia and then doing their combo with their hand.
That's
That
so
would be
tough
how
if
you
you're
would
putting
do
out
it.
a Renathal list. Yeah. Seems hard to like pull off too.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. And just the fact that they have dredge cards now in Druid makes it more silly just because they can put their good cards at the bottom of their deck in their alignment lists. You don't have to worry about getting dirty ratted or Deotard or anything like that. I mean, you have Lotheb and things like that to stall, but I didn't realize how good that 0 mana dredge card was until I started playing some of the Druid lists and understand like, hey, if I just have this card against disruption decks, like it increases my win rate quite a bit. But
It's just a deceptively strong mechanic. I know we're talking about this expansion, but like Holy Wrath Paladin got a huge buff because of Dredge, because it means that you can like go fetch your Shirvala at any point. Like you can like dredge at Holy Wrath. But on top of that, like if you pull Celt and then dredge, you can put a card above your Shirvala, draw that on your next turn, and then Holy Wrath for 25, Holy Wrath for 20. So Dredge is a
Fake
really
that got better. Let's go.
Dredge is a really versatile mechanic.
Or
You
just
were just
yeah,
bullying
all
me for
right. Yeah.
picking off meta choices.
right. Yeah, I don't know. Druid's fun. I think I'm gonna end up playing more Druid as things go on, as time goes on. But I'm actually surprised. I saw the Guff card like right before I had like quit. I don't even know if I played the card before. I expected it to be nerfed when I came back. It looks like nothing happened, but
Yeah.
I
Guff
guess it's not.
is really really good.
I
Yeah,
guess
it's definitely a nerf target because it's good in standard too.
that was my question. Is it doing much in standard? Is that why it hasn't been
Yeah,
touched?
Guffer alignment's going to get nerfed next patch. Like it's all but confirmed. I think they all but confirmed alignment though. Guff might stay, but
I'm fine with that. Guff's a lot more fun play
oh yeah,
pattern than
alignment's like just an absurdly silly card.
yeah. If they get rid of alignment permanently, I would be very happy.
Hmm.
Then you got like that Corvette's list where you can
Right,
just
but
do
then
Yeah,
that
stuff.
deck is
that's way
way
more
more
fair. It's
fair.
beatable.
I think.
It's
Yeah,
beatable.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's just really really silly. Guff and then Twixsphere is still going to be just stupid, right? But at least you get to also play 10 mana worth of cards instead of one card.
Right. True,
Uh,
true, true.
like in standard, people don't play combo alignment. I don't know if you know this, but like some of them do, but most of the alignment decks in standard are just like play alignment, ramp, and then just like abuse that like environment, which is like really silly. Even then, and then in wild, you obviously just win the turn you play alignment or the turn after.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Turn after if you're
So
bad.
that card getting killed would not surprise me because they hinted at it and because it's just silly good.
You don't
But we'll
think they'll
see.
hit both Guff and alignment?
I don't know. Like
That might make Druid unplayable in
I think
standard. I don't know
Ixar
if they
said
want
something in an AMA about like, yes, it's like a silly strong card, but also like it's a class card and it's like fun. And those are obviously like really dumbed down. But I'm not sure about alignment or not, or Guff or not.
Just 5 mana seems
Oh, it's
really
so
weird.
good. Yeah, it's a really good card.
Like, and
It's like UI on steroids.
It's a
it
really good
draws you.
card.
I mean, it doesn't even need to like draw a card on the turn you play it. Like, I don't know.
Or ramp you on the turn you play it.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
could be an
It does
MP.
too much. Yeah.
I'm saying either or is fine, but like,
The hero power's so good too. Just a house.
it's just weird. You get to ramp, you get to draw a card, and you get that post play ability with it on turn 5. It doesn't make sense. But I mean, I don't know. It is fun. That's definitely true.
I
Anytime
mean,
you can
there's
play 20 mana worth of stuff. The fact that you have that floop and with
Flipper
Flipper
friends.
friends and all that, Nixia, Whelps,
Mhm.
and oh,
Yeah,
it's so
Druid got
sick.
some absurd combos with the board rush fillers and Guff.
And
It's
now
for
you got
like
and you got
jump.
and you get Sire now to get rewarded for all that the goofiness too.
Yeah, and that's the crazy part is that's not even optimal. Like that's just fun. Like it's like there's other better
No,
ways to just kill people. But
but
that
no other deck can do that though.
yeah,
That's what's just funny about it. Like,
so good.
I mean, there's a reason that Jordan's last YouTube video was literally obsessed with Guff the entire time.
People like Guff, man, even if it's broken. People like Guff.
yeah, he's good. So, what would you guess the tier 1 best deck in the game's going to be a week from now?
Wild?
Yeah.
No, depends if they nerf alignment or not in a week.
Yeah, I mean, it's between Fish Rogue, Big Priest,
Big Priest
alignment Druid.
Big Priest is probably a step behind because it gets 100 zeroed to those decks, right?
Sure.
Big
Is it
Priest
still
never beats
Pyro Rogue?
alignment. Fire Rogue
But
will still be tier 1. Depending on who you ask, that'll be the best deck, probably. But also, Quest Mage beats Pyro Rogue sometimes, and also Quest Mage.
Quest Mage sometimes beats Pirate Rogue. It doesn't
Yeah.
beat Pirate
Right.
Rogue. Yeah.
But
I think
it has the ability to beat every deck. Like it's just so good.
like a lot of people are upset because the tier 1 decks really haven't changed. But
Mhm.
I will say, like, even though the tier 1 hasn't changed, I feel like a lot more has been filled into tier 2.
Tier 2 and 3
Like,
have more of a
two,
chance. Sure.
right.
Like,
Tier 2 and 3 have viable win conditions against tier 1. It's just not as consistent. But there's a lot more different options you can play in those tiers than there was last expansion or the expansion before. More variety,
Fair enough.
which is good for people like me who like refuse to play whatever's tier 1 just out of principle.
yeah, the Holy Wrath Paladin, man. Gotta dredge your
Absurdly silly way to play Hearthstone. Play what's fun. Doesn't matter if it's good or not. The good decks are also more fun just by the nature of how they design. Like it's an unobjectivable truth that the best decks are the most fun decks because they design for what's going to be good. That's where they put their most effort. They know it's going to be good, and so they make sure those are more fun. When you make these weird other things, it's kind of like a who's who if it's going to be. That's why a lot of people don't enjoy playing Free Shaman because it's not a designed deck. It's just a bunch of cards that were thrown into the pile. When they make expansions, they make archetype. They see these things in testing when they make them. So good decks are just more fun.
what was the most boring best deck ever?
Odd Rogue.
I don't know.
Odd Rogue.
That's a
Odd Priest.
fascinating question. The thing about that is it won't come to you because you'll have well, that was boring and you stop playing it.
Right.
It might be. It also depends your playstyle, right? If you don't like aggro, then like Pyro Rogue might be boring because it's the same thing every game. Like
Yeah.
you have slight variation in your turn 1 and 2, and then you play weapon on 3, and then like everything's the same after that every game.
Yeah, I mean, you're asking a guy who doesn't play too much aggro, so I'd
Right.
lean that direction. But I mean, but things like I think Big Priest is like fun for like a little bit,
I
but
don't
then
mind
I
it.
think that
It's
that
not
deck.
fun if you want to be super engaged. Big Priest is a deck to play if you just don't want to activate your brain too much. Like you just want to hop on and relax.
You just want to
Big
watch
Priest
some
is really
YouTube
good
in
for
time.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
The super engaged player will get bored with Big Priest.
Big Priest. I think I don't know. Demon Seed was kind of boring to me, and I usually like some sort of wild decks. I think just the quest lines in general can get pretty boring if you're gonna.
Or just quests in general, like when Quest Rogue was super good.
I mean, the goal of any a healthy expansion is if games don't feel monotonous, right? So just
Sure.
like, oh, cool, illuminate on one, into this on two. Like, I don't know, like, not saying illuminate's a problem, but I'm just saying like
Uh,
when games seem the same, but
you know what card I hate unreasonably so? Neptulon. It's like
Mm,
it's not the problem with those decks, but we had back to back Big Shaman and Big Priest abuse it, and it's just such an unfun card to play against.
Big
I can
Priest
get on board with that.
is a
I just
yeah.
it's silly that if you just leave him up, you're just dead. Like
Right.
I didn't realize like because again I was coming into this fresh. Like I played against a big priest and I saw Neptulon drop down. Like, oh, this seems like a pretty cool card. And I didn't realize just like how many times you get attacked with it if you leave it up. It's like, wow, I'm at like 40 health. But like they get to Wind Fury into you, and those 4/2s get to attack you after they get Wind Furied into you. Like it's just so much damage. I don't know. Yeah, the deck's silly. I mean, but it's again, big priest. I don't feel like it's like when I face a big priest. I guess it's just the type of decks I play. Like I'm not like, oh crap,
Mhm.
like I hate playing against this deck.
There's certain matchups where it's like if I queue into a priest, I just know I'm not gonna have a good time. But like on my climb yesterday, I was totally fine with it because Secret Mage does so much early and so much over the top that it doesn't matter. But if you're playing a super board based deck, it's really frustrating to have infinite taunts in your way, and so you're just dead to Neptulon.
Yeah, I don't know. One deck I want to experiment with is like some kind of like Reno Quest Mage list that's okay against aggro, but that's something I haven't gone down that path yet. Because I think there's got to be a Reno deck that stands out of the group, and it's got to be one that has a decent win condition. Maybe like a low to the floor, like Reno Quest Mage list. But again, you only want to run Parrot, so that's kind of like, okay, what are you doing? Like,
I wouldn't be
um,
surprised if it was Reno Lock again, because Gigafin is really really good.
yeah, that's a good. I forgot about that list. Yeah, the like the OTZ
Pinlock.
kind of list.
Pinlock will be a tier 1 or 2 deck for sure. I don't think that's going anywhere.
So I guess this brings up a good point. Like, what are you guys most excited to play that you haven't tried yet? Obviously, Jordan hasn't played much at all yet, but my big thing is I always like to circle back to archetypes that have existed for a long time but haven't been good in a while and see it like especially like like I guess going back to my example of Holy Wrath Paladin. Holy Wrath Paladin got 0 support this expansion,
Mm.
but there's like the 3 mana card that draws 2 of a class card, and like that's been okay. So like just like seeing what little incremental changes have been like added to decks that you used to play, see if you can find something that's making a resurgence. That's always my thing. Like I like to revisit odd and even decks whenever I look at a new expansion. But I think I haven't looked at all at like Odd Warrior yet, but I want to see if there's anything there. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I got like I mentioned earlier, maybe some sort of like Reno Quest Mage list or Reno Secret Mage list, like something that like has endgame but has some proactive terms early on. If you're gonna go like the Reno Secret Mage list, I think that's probably why I just really like the free Shaman list with disruption because you have game against aggro. Like you're pretty solid against aggro, and you have ways of you have like a game path of ending the game too, which we mentioned, which struggles with decks like Raza Priest, where they have some disruption and stuff too, but they're a little bit slower at getting to it, and their win condition is too slow. If you're going like the whole Shadow with the 5/4 Inspire guy, that's kind of slow now.
Shadows. Yeah,
I
Yeah,
don't think they
so
run that card anymore.
I
I
don't think
know
so.
that's
I
that's
think
that's the
you
sad.
just kind of win like through disruption. Like they've given up on being fast, I
Yeah.
think, and are just like going for a slow bleed while stopping them from winning in other ways. Just
Which is crazy.
my
Which is
sense.
crazy because when I came back and I realized that they had unnerfed a bunch of cards, including Polkelt, I was like, "Oh crap, Polkelt's back!" Like
Mhm.
Polkelt on 4 made that deck so consistent, but
Yeah,
it's just
they still run Polka and still good. It's really good in
right.
Shaman too, especially with Sir
Oh
Denathrius. Now it's probably even better in Shaman because you get that card in your hand early enough. But having the stack of Polka be Shutterwalk, then the Freezy Boy, and then like Loatheb is just silly.
yeah.
Rumble
Right.
Loatheb, so good.
Yeah, exactly. What about
Uh,
you, Jordan? What do you plan on diving in more once you
uh,
dive into this set a little bit more?
I want to play something with Sir Denathrius, and I've yet to do that. I'll probably play Shaman or Druid. I'm not that interested in Implock or Beast Hunter right now, or really ever for Implock. Eventually, I'll play Beast Hunter
Oh,
again, but
did you guys see the sorry to interrupt, but the Togwaggle shaman list?
I will go shaman. Wow.
Yeah, there's this guy I watch. I think he's Russian streamer. He
Okay.
was like a top 10 legend in EU with this Togwaggle Shaman list. It's actually pretty sick. Like I looked at the list initially and I was like, what the hell is this deck doing? It doesn't run Shudderwalk. It runs the new Kalefast card. But yeah, he does stuff where he can Kalefast into like Shudder or Togwaggle Azalina stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and I think he's like put in a Sire package too. I haven't looked at his updated list, but it is kind of silly the sort of things you can do with the new Kalefast card in a
Yeah.
deck like the fact you have Macaws, the fact that you have your own Innervate card to do some more goofy stuff. Uh, makes Togwaggle playable in Shaman. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. I think that's probably the best use of Kael'thas, honestly, is decks like Druid and Shaman that just like already have a ton of mana anyway. Like, you don't really like break it like you do the old Kael'thas, but getting out some big 10 drops is pretty sick.
You ever
Yeah.
Barnes into Kalthas? It's way worse, right? Because you have to run a ton of minions to make Kalthas good, so you can't
Yeah, that's
guarantee
really
it. Yeah, that's
Well,
terrible.
what's
really
crazy,
bad.
I mean, with Kael'thas, the fact that it counts itself as one of the minions makes it really
Right.
good. Like
Yeah.
you play Kael'thas Bran into Sire, into your Innervate card, into Macaw, and then if you have two Innervates in your hand, you can do other goofy stuff with like either your armor card or your Geppettoed cards, or like you have some silly turns with Shaman, with Sire and Kael'thas. Like I think Kael'thas will see more play in Druid. I don't know about Druid, but Shaman for sure.
You ever run
Um,
like the zero cost cards to pair with Kalthas? Like you ever run like Tiny Fin and
Oh.
Yeah.
Penguins?
it just dilutes your deck too much.
You can run the Zero Man and Priest, and I think that's about it for Zero Man and card.
Yeah, I think I tend to like Shutter lists that are not Renathal lists, but if I'm gonna do a Renathal list, I don't want to put more. I'm not gonna go all in on Kael'thas stuff
Right.
because you have disruption against the combo decks and you can take that path. If you want to OTK later on, great, that's fine. I think that's just what makes Shaman so good is because you have game against aggro, you have disruption against combo, and you have end game potential, whether you want to go the infinite route or you want to do the Sire stuff. I think Shaman's probably the most versatile class right now, in my opinion. I don't know about any of the Reno Shaman lists. I enjoy Reno Shaman. It just makes it less consistent.
Hmm.
I tried any of the Kalthas stuff, and I want to try that too. See if there's a wonky combo out there.
I'm curious if anyone actually tried Tome Tampering and Mechathune Lock, because that's what people thought would be good with that card.
I faced a few of it.
Did
Yeah.
you? Is it actually
Yeah.
any good at all?
BM King was playing a ton of it on ladder.
Okay.
He seemed to be doing all right with it.
Isn't it
Uh,
actively bad for Mechathune?
No,
You're
it's
shuffling cards into your deck, right?
right, but you discard your hand, so you're basically doing the new Finley effect, except you're making 9 cards cost 1 mana, so you can go off that.
Sure.
Like
You have
you
to have
get
a
a
way to
1
draw
mana
it back,
Mechathune
though.
or a 1 mana, like all your cards become 1 mana. Yeah, but that's why your whole deck is just draw, right?
Sure.
But you're spending 4 mana to cheat out a bunch of mana later. It's like it's weird.
I mean, you do
Alright.
goofy stuff with like the 1/3 imp draw card, Malgazar's
Yeah,
imp,
that's
and
why
then
you.
That's what I
and
was
you,
doing with the
That's the only way to play Tome
well,
Tampering.
right. That's what I was doing with the Desert Obelisk and the
Mhm.
Starliner list, but it's unfortunate how infrequently you draw them out to them. But
Mm.
there's
it's not
that too. You don't. Yeah, there's that too. And then they have the
but
weapon too they can use
you can run
with
Hand
it.
to Gul'dan, and that way when you play Tome Tampering, you at least draw like 3 or 6 off of it with those. That can be helpful. But
I'm gonna get really spicy with a Tome Tampering Mechathune list. You put the Selfless Sidekick in, so that like if you summon that in for 1 mana, you can equip Rod for 1 mana.
Selfless sidekick.
This is
Oh, okay.
entirely a meme suggestion here of putting that in your deck. You'd rather just shuffle in a 1 mana Rod and draw it again.
Got it.
Yeah, I used to play that in restricted formats for the entire purpose of equipping Twig or Sphere. Like I have Aviana in place. It's like, all right, well, let me just draw my weapon from my deck. I have 10
Right.
more.
yeah.
Some people run it in like in a Lunith, like weird, like Ignite Mage deck, but it's like not at all like Ignite Mage. It's like a bunch of spells, and you have to draw your whole deck. It's like Freeze Mage of Classic, basically, with like a Lunith
And then
and
you
like a bunch
play
of
Chef
spells.
Nomi.
I have Nomi. I love how you have the ultimate memes in there.
Mhm.
What's funny is like in Wild, you can consistently every game play that on turn 7 with an empty deck, and it's still just like not even like not even a thought. It's yeah,
Yeah,
this is good. This exists. We can
your
do this.
your druid opponent just like plays poison seeds, and
Right. Pretty funny. I think it's just like really, really unplayable. But
remember
it's
when it was so good in Rogue? Just like
so it's such a cool card. I want it to be good.
do Myros. Yeah.
I really do. I mean, it's
All
like a
right.
cool card. But why would you do that when you could just Mechathune, right?
Did Nomi predate Mechathune? It had to have, right?
Yeah.
I would assume so. So you came back after what, like a year break maybe?
Yeah, I was looking through like my tweets and whatnot. The last time I hit WoW Legend was August of last year.
Okay.
So it's
So
been almost a
back
year.
almost exactly a year. Is there anything
Yeah.
specific about this expansion that brought you back, or did the burnout just kind of slowly? Yeah.
Yeah, like I
slowly
mentioned, I would log in and like do battleground stuff and like manipulate my quests to like get
Mhm.
all my experience points and gold that way. But I think it was just like part of having a little bit of downtime. Part of it like just kind of seeing some new. I saw a quest mage list and I had some nostalgia for quest mage. So that was one of my favorite decks prior, and
It's just
you
been really
know,
good for a few months since
yeah,
Paradise was released.
when you play the game often all the time, like it doesn't matter really what you play, like you can burn yourself out on it big time. And being a year off has made it more fun. And then that, like I said, Commander Savara, when I saw that card, I was like, that card looks really sweet. I want to play some Quest Mage. And then everything's new to me. I didn't know what Pyrogue was. I didn't know what Dredge was. I didn't know what all that stuff was. So just kind of seeing everything from a fresh perspective was really nice too. And it seems like there's multiple decks that are good. Like, yeah, Rogue's super good. Yeah, Druid's kind of busted, but there's other decks you can play and be competitive in, and that's always a good thing. And I don't see a ton of quest line out there. I think overall, I think the meta seems pretty healthy from a guy who's been around for a while. I would say in general, it looks healthy in terms of you know class playability.
Hmm.
For Demon Hunter. Rip Demon Hunter.
Oh, Demon
Rip
Hunter.
Demon Hunter, dude.
Is it? I think I saw some of the stats on that. It's like one of the worst performing decks of or classes of all time for an expansion that came out.
In standard and wild, it's like 30% win rate.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
Super low.
39% for all ranks in standard right now. Yeah.
yeah. Insane.
Guess relics aren't very good.
Oh, they were they were atrocious.
Everyone knew that. Yeah.
Yeah. You can't give a class that new with that little of like options, a parasitic mechanic, and expect it to have any life.
Well, they have no like end game, right? Is that the problem? Like it's
Oh, they
just
have end game. The cards just suck. So you don't get to the end game. The 2 8-mana finishers, Jace is one of the best cards in standard. Like
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
well, at least one of the best finishers, right?
I played Jace a little bit last expansion with a Naga package, and it was really fun. It wasn't that good, but it was fun.
And the
Just
new finisher
you
is
need-
quite nice. You just have to get there is the problem. I saw a
And
clip of
relic.
someone playing the new 8-mana relic finisher, and it drew 2 cards, reduced the cost by 8, and it drew Jace. So it did
Oh,
both
shit.
win cons in one turn and won the game, but you have to get there by playing a ton of relic.
So do you think that your return to Hearthstone will persist beyond your paternity leave, or just kind of like while you're home sort of thing?
I mean, we'll see. It's nice to get 11x back, and it makes it easier to climb on new seasons. Yeah, I mean, you know, you don't want to commit too hard into anything. I think somebody
Mhm.
asked me if I was gonna stream again. I doubt that's gonna happen.
That was me, I think.
Yeah, I
I
think
just
that was
tweeted
you.
at you.
But I'll definitely play here and there. I still like Battlegrounds. I think Battlegrounds is really cool. But Wild Ladder is fun. It is playable, and I'll go for probably another. I'll see if I can get a nice top finish on NA at least this year or this season. So yeah, I think it's fun. I think like I said, the meta's healthy, and it's you can play combo, you can play aggro. So that makes me happy.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the positives about Pyrogue being so absurdly good is that it lets you play those strategies.
Yeah, it pushes some combo out of the format, which well, but it lets you play some more control-y archetypes if you can queue into the rogue reliably enough. Just nice.
Mhm.
Which EU, man, holy crud. I mean, that's like a side
I like
note,
over
like
there.
so much rogue. So much rogue. And again, it might be just like small-ish sample size, but like I'm literally just super teched out shaman lists and just just farming rogues left and right because every rogue I face, not one of them's been a combo rogue of any sort. Yeah, a lot of rogue and what else? It's just tons of aggro and big priest. Aggro big priest. I don't. That's most of the what I've seen over there.
Big Priest is a popular deck because you can come home and just play without a whole lot of thought and win some game.
Exactly.
It's the epitome of
Cool.
play green cards and win.
I appreciate you guys having me on the show today, though. That was
Yeah,
fun.
of course. Yeah,
Um,
good to have you back. You
yeah.
came back. Daniel's back. Now he's got Chia back.
Uncle Daniel's back. Nice. Or Gooey Daniel. What does he go by now these days?
I don't know.
Gooey Daniel.
I love that
Yeah.
guy.
All right. Anything to plug, sir?
Follow me on Twitter at CreampuffHS for all deck lists and whatnot.
All right. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
this is the end of the episode.
Thanks,
Peace.
guys.